The NFL has released its international schedule for the 2026 season. Starting off in week 1, we have the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Los Angeles Rams in Australia. This should be a fun, high-powered offensive game with Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams on the Rams side, and on the 49ers, you got Brock Purdy, Mike Evans, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle if he's healthy enough to play. You got two great offensive play callers in Sean McVay of the Rams and Kyle Shanahan of the Niners. Should be a fun one. Defensively, there's going to be some good plays on the defensive side. Maybe might get a couple turnovers on each side, so a few sacks as well. So, this one should be a fun one. Heading into week 3, we got the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Dallas Cowboys in Brazil. This should also be a fun high-powered game. By this point in time, teams are still figuring out, their offenses, what they're going to run and stuff. But they're starting to get the chemistry going, and Lamar Jackson, he's going to do Lamar Jackson thing. He's going to be exciting to watch and make big plays. Dak Prescott going to make some good throws to CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens. They're going to make big plays. The Derrick Henry, he's going to run through and get some big plays as well. Both defenses, they've improved on paper. Jesse Minter now being the head coach in Baltimore, that defense should be a lot better than it was last year. Dallas, they improved their defensive line and improved their linebacker core as well. Their secondary is still questionable, but if their front seven is good enough and gets pressure consistently, then they shouldn't have to worry. And they'll force some mistakes from Lamar and have him do some wild throws or maybe, do some wild runs. That'll be negative plays for Baltimore. Going into week 4, we got the Colts against the Indianapolis Colts against the Washington Commanders. This one is meh. I mean, they could have picked a better matchup, but, you got an up-and-coming Colts team that, showed that they can be a good team. Last year, they were hit with some injuries late in the year. They were on pace to win the AFC South, and the Commanders, they had the injury bug all year with Jaden Daniels out for most of the year, Terry McLaurin out for most of the year, and they were stuck with Marcus Mariota and Deebo Samuel. So, it should be a okay game for the most part. Heading into week 5, we got the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. This one should be a good one. Both teams were in the playoffs last year. Both teams have high expectations of making it back to the playoffs. You got Jalen Hurts, with a new offensive coordinator again. He won't have A.J. Brown this time, but have Mekhi Lemon and Devontae Smith, who are both, really good receivers. Saquon Barkley, really good running back, one of the best in the league. You got that defense in Philly. It's always going to be good. Then in Jacksonville, you got Liam Cohen as the play caller over there and the head coach. Their offense is going to be good. Trevor Lawrence looked like he took a step forward last year and improved. Also, you got Travis Hunter. He'll be playing both sides. Mainly he'll be the defensive back from what I've seen, but he'll slide into offense, into some offensive plays every now and then. Brian Thomas, right? Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. They got him, one of the better young receivers in the league. They have a solid running back core. Not great, but it's okay. Has potential. But yeah, this one could be a fun one. Should be a fun one. Then week 6, we got the Houston Texans against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yes, the Jaguars will be playing back-to-back games in London. And this one, this is a AFC South Division showdown. Both teams were in the playoffs last year again. Houston's defense, we know it's going to be great. We know it's going to be elite. Their offense is going to be up and down. So it just determines on this game will likely be determined by how Jacksonville can operate against that defense. How Jacksonville's offense can operate against that defense. How well can they move the ball? How many times can they get in position to score points? While on the other side, same thing with Houston. How many times can that offense, can the offense be consistent? We know that Houston's offense can be good, but it's been very inconsistent over the past couple years. And so the question remains, can both offenses move the ball at a consistent level, put up points? I think the offense that does that the team that does that the most will win the game. Then in Paris, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers against the New Orleans Saints. This one is another one of those. Is like, nah. We know Pittsburgh's defense is going to be great. We know that they're going to get pressure. T.J. Watt, one of the best, if not, one of the best pass rushers in the game. You got an up-and-coming quarterback in New Orleans in Tyler Shough, who's shown he can be good. It just depends. He needs to put it together consistently. New Orleans, you got Travis Etienne. They signed him. He's expected to have a big year. They have Chris Olave and Jordan Tyson. A really solid, good young receiving core over there. Their defense still old. It's getting older. They still need to refine that defense. So I don't know exactly how well they'll be this year. But against Pittsburgh, they still don't have a quarterback right now. They have no clue who their quarterback is going to be. It's still unclear if Aaron Rodgers will play for Pittsburgh, even though he's expected to. But if he doesn't, then Pittsburgh will have to roll out either Drew Aller or Will Howard or what's his name? Mason Rudolph. But either one of those three, though, they'll have a good target. Has some good targets to throw to. Michael Pittman, Jr., DK Metcalf, Jeremy Bernard. You have Jalen Warren and Rico Dowdle back there in the backfield. You got Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington. So, pretty good offensive talent over there in Pittsburgh if utilized correctly. And, Mike McCarthy, people give him a lot of flack, but he is a good offensive mind. He is a good coach. And he is known for developing quarterbacks. So, maybe this game could be a good one. Then heading into Week 9, we got the Cincinnati Bengals against the Atlanta Falcons in Madrid. Now this will be a high-powered offensive game. I mean, you talking about Joe Burrow if he's healthy, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown. I mean, those guys scored touchdowns, nothing but touchdowns. We know that they can put up 40 points on anybody, no matter how good your defense is. And we also know that Cincinnati's defense hasn't really been great. Yes, they improved their defensive line, in their linebacking core. Their secondary still questionable, but they have improved their defense. But you got Bijan Robinson, who's arguably the most unguardable player in the NFL. You got Drake London, who can go up and catch it over anybody. You got Kyle Pitts, who's one of the better young tight ends in the league. You got Jahan Dotson, Zachariah Branch, some sneaky good receivers. You got, the quarterbacks, Tua Tagovailoa or Michael Penix Jr., whoever will be starting by then. They're not, as of right now, they're not the greatest, but, they're serviceable. Penix has a lot of potential, though, to be a franchise quarterback. He's shown flashes that he can be that guy for Atlanta. He's led them to some comeback drives and, game-winning drives. Was let down by either a missed kick or defense blew it at the end or, something crazy at the end, at the end of games like that. But, yeah, he's shown that he can be that guy. He's shown that he can make good throws, clutch runs. The Falcons' defense It got even better this offseason on paper. They last year they had the most sacks in franchise history, what I believe was 57, I believe, something like that. 55 or 57, one of those two numbers, or 58. But that was the most of franchise history. We know that they got Avion Terrell now, so he'll be guarding T. Higgins most likely. AJ Terrell on Jamar Chase. I mean, that'll be a fun matchup. You got Xavier Watts, Jesse Bates back there at the safety slot. So it'll be fun to see how that game will turn out, how many points will be put up on each side. And then in Munich, in Week 10, in Munich, you got the New England Patriots against the Detroit Lions. This I expect to be a defensive fight, a defensive heavyweight fight. We know New England's defense is going to be good, probably great again. They were elite last year. And Detroit has a new offense coordinator now. By this point, their offense coordinator should have a good rhythm and a good flow to him. And, the Detroit's offense should be flowing. But even still, there have been times where Detroit's offense has been stopped, even when Ben Johnson was there. But yeah, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown. He'll be guarded by Christian Gonzalez. That'll be a good matchup. You got Jahmyr Gibbs, who I don't know who the Patriots have that will stop him. They'll probably have to load the box to stop him because he is fast. You get any little space, any little sliver he has, he's taking it to the house. He's an electric runner. They have Sam Laporta, another one of those tight ends that's young, one of the better ones in the league. On New England, they're expected to get AJ Brown on June 2nd, post June 1 trade. They have Romeo Doubs. They got Travion Henderson, Ramondre Stevenson, Drake May, one of the up and coming young quarterbacks in the league. And so this one should be a heavyweight defensive battle. I expect this thing to be no more than the team. One of these two to put up no more than 24 points. And then the final international game, Week 11, be in Mexico City. You got the Minnesota Vikings going up against the San Francisco 49ers. This one is intriguing because the Vikings got a better quarterback in Kyler Murray. They still have Justin Jefferson, who's arguably still the best receiver in the league. Yes, he had a down year last year, but he still somehow managed to put up 1,000 yards or whatever with the quarterback situation Minnesota had. They still have one of the better wide receiver twos in the game in Jordan Addison. Aaron Jones is still there. Though he is older, he's still a good running back, solid running back. Jordan Mason, solid running back. Minnesota's defense is elite. Brian Flores is going to have that defense ready to play every game, and they're going to get sacks, they're going to get turnovers, So in the San Francisco, it all depends on how healthy they'll be. We know that they've had horrible luck with the injury bug. Mike Evans, they have him now, and he's had bad luck with the injury bug in the later half of his career, especially last year where he only played about 5 games. They got Christian Kirk. He didn't play all of last season, neither in Houston. They got Christian McCaffrey, who he was healthy all last year, but before then he was dealing with the injury bug as well. George Kittle, he's going to be coming off a season-ending injury. Hopefully he'll be ready to go by week 1, and hopefully he'll be healthy to play the entire season. Defensively, they have Fred Warner. He has always been hurt, but he's been great when he's on the field. So, maybe he can be the Fred Warner that everyone knows that he can be, which is one of the best linebackers in the game. They brought back Dre Greenlaw, who he didn't play at all last year because he was injured. So, a lot of injuries on San Francisco's side, and all of them are stars. So it all depends on, how healthy they'll be, and can that defense, just get the Kyler, affect them enough for him to make mistakes. Because we see it, we seen him be great when he has time, when he's confident. But if San Francisco can shake that confidence, then they'll be able to win that game. But yeah, these are the 2026 NFL international games. And let me know your thoughts on these games. What do you think of the matchups? Are they good matchups? Are they bad? How do you think they'll go? Who will win? Let me know y'all's thoughts on it.